Hi there, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie, and if you watched a recent video of mine, I shared with you some projects that I made using my scraps, and I thought that it might be fun to walk you through how I come about turning this into that, and that's what this video is all about. So the first thing I am going to do is I am going to sort my scraps into some sort of semblance of order. So let me do that and I will come back and show you what piles I came up with. Okay, it may not look like it, but I do have some semblance of order. So this pile here are all larger, for the most part, patterned scraps or scraps that I would use in the shape that they're in. So for instance, a thin border strip like this I would use in this shape. So those I put over here. Then I have a bunch of neutral scraps, mostly white, a little bit of brown, black, that kind of thing. These, of course, I can use to stamp on, make layers, etc. So that is that pile. I also have a pile here of scrappy scraps. So these are like little bits and bobs, and to be honest, if I don't use them, they're going to be recycled. So that's that pile. And then I've got a pile of solid cardstock, not necessarily neutrals. Most of this, or a good chunk of this, is shimmer paper left over from Croptoberfest. So I'm just going to kind of pile these together roughly like so, and I'm going to stick them in this bin again, but I'm going to stack them long ways so I can just kind of flip through. And I'm going to find a smaller container for the scrappy scraps, and then we're going to deal with the big ones, and we're just going to kind of combine papers to make page kits or card kits. So let me get this resituated and I will be right back. I've made this really multi-layered one. This was a lot of fun to just kind of layer all the little bits and pieces. I have room for one photo. Obviously, if I want to add more, I could cover up some of the scraps, but I'm thinking one is probably what I will end up doing with this. I just loved this pink floral paper, so I tried to feature it in the layers. Okay, so I have a bunch of small little blue scraps left over from a mini album I made. This was using My Mind's Eye gingham foundry, and I think what I'm going to do with this is make some serendipity paper, which is basically where you just randomly glue these down onto a sheet and you end up with a, crazy quilt kind of paper, and then from there I can decide what I want to do with it. So that's what I'm going to do with these. This here, it was fun to make. The Frugal Crafter talked about serendipity papers a while ago, and I had never really heard the term, but I guess it was a thing way back. And I thought that would be kind of fun to use all the little bits and pieces left over from My Mind's Eye gingham foundry collection. And so I just pieced this together. It kind of gives it a scrappy quilt look. And then I had this leftover plank wood piece, and then because there was some golden yellows in the papers, I thought it would be kind of fun to use some gold glitter washi tape, and I matted all of that on a navy cardstock. These are a bunch of odds and ends of Vicki Boutin's collection. This is actually from the sticker pack, but I really like this. I think that's kind of fun. So I'm thinking I can make some sort of collage piece or something with this. So that's that one. And these are all the leftover bits from Vicki Boutin's class that I took at that same retreat. So when I had for the retreat, I had already punched out some of these circles. So I thought, well, let's punch out all of them, which I did. And then I added some back. And added some dimensionals behind them. And then these are just all different layers of scraps that I had. It was kind of fun to put it together. Not my normal style, but still kind of fun. In a recent Smash Your Stash, I had made a circle for a layout, and I had this ring left over, and I just paired it with some other scraps that I think might work, and I think I should be able to come up with something for that. If you look at the embellishments that I used here, these were ones that I made in preparation for Croptoberfest. Some of these just might be base pages, like something like this might just be a very simple base page. And I'm okay with that. I just don't want the scraps in my stash. Here's another Vicky Bouton paper, but I thought I'd pair it with a Damask Love paper. And this one from, I think this was from a Park Lane paper pad. Again, I should be able to do something with that. This one here, I cut out a bunch of flowers from some scrap papers and then made my own border, added some twine, and you'll notice that I have some dimensional flowers on here. These are also items that I made in preparation for Croptoberfest. This was leftovers from the retreat I went to in September, and I thought that paired really well with this Echo Park paper, and I also like it with this leftover wood grain, so I think that would make a fun base page. I really like this one, and I just think that one's really fun, a little bit different. Two pretty large chunks of paper, probably going to be a very simplistic base page. Actually, most of these are, let's be real. It's all about getting the scraps used up, not so much about artistic expression, if you want to call it. Here's another two sheets that I will probably combine to make a base page. I tried to use the scraps in the shapes that they were in so that I could maximize the use. So that is how I took my scraps, turned them into little mini kits, and made a bunch of base pages to end up in my stash. The rest of the scraps I either cut down into smaller usable pieces, making labels, or die cut pieces, and anything else that didn't end up getting used got recycled. Thanks so much for joining me, and until next time, happy crafting.